To everyone gathered here today, thank you for sharing these moments with me. Thank you for your kindness and generosity of time and spirit, for your thoughts and your prayers, and your offerings and your support. And thank you for allowing me to share my grief at the loss of my wonderful girl. When Cynthia died on January 19th at age 68, we had been married just over 36 and a half years. It's not enough to say how much we loved one another, how much we enjoyed each other's company. We were together for a long time, and it wasn't long enough. On the day of her injury, last July 26th, we'd had a nice walk, exploring a park that was new to us. We started taking a lot of walks during lockdown, through neighborhoods and places that we'd only driven through. We liked being together. We had a good life. We took walks because Cynthia always had a lot of energy. The first apartment we rented back in 1983 in Staten Island, she sanded the floors and painted the walls. She tilled the dandelion farm that was our backyard and planted grass so it would be presentable for our wedding. She rode her bike into Manhattan for work anytime the weather was even halfway decent. For our honeymoon, Cynthia borrowed a car and we drove around upstate New York, staying at bed and breakfast places and enjoying the scenery. When we decided to move to Seattle, Cynthia bought a delivery truck. Her brother Calvin helped us load up all our worldly belongings. We dropped him off in Akron, and she continued the drive to Seattle because I didn't know how to drive. Yet. When she became a real estate agent in 1987, she began her career by going out and knocking on doors. And she got a few listings that way and decided she wanted to buy a house. Her mom put up the down payment, and Cynthia went to work on the house and the garden. Meanwhile, she played softball. She played soccer twice a week, rain or mist. She took yoga classes, and we took short trips around the area to explore the Olympic Peninsula, Mount Rainier, Victoria, and Vancouver, British Columbia, Eastern Washington, and of course, we'd go back to Portland, where Cynthia could visit her old friends. Cynthia planned and organized every one of these trips. Cynthia always had a lot of energy. She liked going to parties, but she liked throwing them even more, from cooking dinner for a couple of friends to opening the house and garden to like everybody we knew. Cynthia also liked to eat at restaurants. They didn't have to be fancy, but they had to be good. And she had to like the vibe of the place. She had worked in restaurants. She liked to spend money where the employees seemed to like their jobs. She was an advocate of buying organic and local and fresh. She was not a fast food girl. Wherever we walked, if there was a restaurant she didn't know that looked good, she'd check out the menu and make a mental note of the place. Almost all the grocery shopping was at PCC. She would often take the 20-minute walk to the Central Co-op. She loved farmers markets, and she had her favorite niche stores to support as well. When we took a 6-month sabbatical in Rome back in 2007, Cynthia prepared by studying Italian for 2 years beforehand and started taking classes again as soon as we got there. She found that she loved shopping at Italian markets, where she could parlare Italiano to the vendors. And since dinner at 8 was much too late for her, we took to having our lunches out, and she would cook dinner at home. I met Cynthia playing softball. I was enrolled to help a group of women organize a softball team so they could play a game against their boyfriends. Cynthia was having a midlife crisis. She was living in the loft at Creasey Street, but after years of working in bars and restaurants to support her career as a sculptor, she decided she needed a break. She was studying Spanish and was headed to Barcelona to bike around town for 2 years, and she planned to earn money there teaching English to local business people. She went, and halfway through, she came back to New York to check in on things. And I caught up to her, and I proposed to her, because I figured if I was going to get her to give up a return trip to Spain, I'd better bid high, right? Cynthia had a life before me. She was born in Akron and moved with her parents to Denver. When they divorced, her mom enrolled in a graduate school program at Pullman, Washington, where Cynthia finished high school. She then took a semester at Western Washington and then went to the Museum Art School in Portland for her BFA. Our friends will be telling you more about Cynthia's life from that time. Cynthia always had a lot of energy. When we got home from our pre-COVID trip last year, Christmas in Milano, New Year's in Madrid, a stopover in New York, Cynthia immediately started planning dinner parties and get-togethers. We saw a couple of musicals, caught Tom Hartman at Town Hall, saw modern dance at the Seattle Art Museum and the Meany Theater, went to the opening of the Asian Art Museum. Cynthia would walk to the Egyptian Theater to catch a few movies. She started to train as a literacy volunteer with the Seattle Public Library, hung out with the Dirty Divas gardening group, and then a couple of months later came the lockdown. Cynthia continued to take yoga classes, but they were online, 3 mornings a week, and we walked every day, rain or shine, right up until July 26th. Thank you.